This is the site visit for the Reimagine Play project, and I want to thank you all for coming. This is a great turnout, and I'm really glad you're here. What I thought we would do is I would talk a little bit about the park, the project, some specifics. We can walk around the general area if anyone wants to. And then I was going to give you guys the opportunity for questions because I'm sure there are a few questions about the process and the park and everything. So my name is Britta Herwig. I'm going to be the project manager for this project. I work with Denver Parks and Recreation in the planning division. And this is about the most exciting a project gets for us because we actually get to completely re-envision something. We have a playground here that we know is very, very popular, and you know, it's April, but you can already see that it's busy. Come June, it'll be wall-to-wall people. We're also in City Park, which is arguably the city's crown jewel park. It's a park that we think has about, a million and a half visitors every year. It's situated in the middle of the city. It's 320 acres. The zoo is in the park, and so is the Museum of Nature and Science. So we know we're serving a huge population, local people from the neighborhoods. We have 7 neighborhoods immediately adjacent, and about 45,000 people live in close proximity to this park. And then we know we have, the larger Denver area, Colorado. We also have visitors from out of state, out of the country because of this park. It has the best view of Denver, arguably. So we know we're going to be designing for a wide range of people. This project was built in 1996 as a volunteer effort, and it was over 300 volunteers who participated, so we know most of them are still around. Their kids may have grown up, but they still have an interest, and we know there is community support for this, and we want to engage the community in what we're doing, but we want to do it differently, and I'm sure you've all read the RFP and been on the website, so there are some design criteria that are very important to us, and they far surpass, I think, what you see here. This is a great playground, but it's a playground. It's a pit, it's got structures in it, and it's designated for kids from age 4 to 13 or so. We want to expand both the space, the program, and the user groups. So we have an area set aside. I'll just start with that, make sure this is right side up. This is also on the website, so I'm sure you've all seen this before. The current playground is right here. It's 25,000 square feet, so it's by no means a small structure. But the area where we can envision having Reimagine Play occur, we think is kind of between, the park roads that encompass this entire meadow that's behind us. In context, you're in the middle of City Park, so we have a lot of historic features that this new reimagined play has to fit into. There's, sculptures, water features, structures. We also have a lot of active living that takes place here already that we want to make sure we tie into, encourage, and expand. So we have tennis courts, we have horseshoe pits, we have sports fields that we permit. We have race events that come through the park almost every weekend during the summer. The biggest that's coming up soon is on May 19th and 20th, the Colfax Marathon. And then we also have, sort of cultural identities that come together in City Park. So we have a statue to MLK, we have a Scottish poet sculpture over here, we have fairs and arts projects that happen here. We're actually kind of standing in the middle of an arts project. The metal structure that forms part of the zoo wall over here is an art piece by Patrick Merrill that extends into the park this way, and then also there's another piece in the other direction. We want to make sure that we don't lose sight of that as we go forward. And then we also have some sort of natural, environmental, educational things in the park that we want to make sure get showcased. So behind you is Duck Lake, which is one of the biggest rookeries for some migratory birds. They're doing their thing right now, right there. So let's see, what else did I want to talk about? East High School is certainly present in the park. They're just south of us, and they do come into the park, the kids do, for PE classes, and they use some of our fields for practice fields, and then they do also come during lunch and they recreate. Let's see. I think those are sort of the basics of what I wanted to cover. By the way, we're all being filmed. I meant to say that right up front, I forgot. So that for all of you who can't be here, nothing gets lost. These guys are going to go around and take some panoramic shots of the areas, and they're recording us right now so that your questions will also be available for everyone else to hear, and then the answers hopefully too. So if anyone has a problem with that, I'm sorry, but I thought that was the most expedient way to make sure everyone was on the same page. Okay, about the project process, there are currently, I know you guys are all dying to find out, there are currently 8 firms that have been shortlisted, or teams rather, I should say. I'm going to put all the names up on the website today. There are 2 more that we're trying to get through our process, but there have been some hiccups that we're not sure we can resolve with the submittals that they made. So the goal is to have you all prepare for us your idea of what Reimagine Play might look like here in City Park in a graphic format on 2 boards the size, 24 by 36. There can be some text to explain things, but ideally it would be prepared in a way that is legible just graphically. We're going to display these boards for a couple of weeks after we've received them in various places throughout the city so we can get some public feedback, because, you know, people are very invested in this park and in this playground, and we do want to give them an opportunity to comment and to get their thoughts out and to maybe have favorites, I don't know. So while this is a design competition process, you are actually really designing for the greater public already. We'll take the submittals in a PDF file or 2, and we'll print everything for you, so we'll save you the cost of making boards. And then we'll have a jury look at the boards and look at all of the comments we've received from the public, and then we'll take 2 or 3 firms from this greater pool and go to the next level. What else is there to say about the process? Please don't put any of your identifiers on the boards. The goal is to just have people look at the graphics and not at who you are. Some people get swayed by that, you never know. And I'll know who you are, so don't worry about things getting confused. But that's kind of important to us, that we have just the boards with the graphics. Questions, we'll take questions today, and we'll take questions for the next couple of weeks. And I'll post everyone's questions and then my answers as far as I can give them on the website. Also, we've made a new category that's called Design Concepts, and you can read through there so that there shouldn't be any doubt whether you've had all the information to go forward. And I think that's all I wanted to say. I did bring, just for laughs and giggles, this is part of the master plan that's also on the website. It's the big map that came out of it that we printed as a poster. You know, this gives a little bit more of the historic context of the park. We've achieved most of the things that we wanted to in the park. We've been spending a lot of money here, and the park has been getting busier and busier and more popular, and we love that. And this is supposed to be yet another piece of that. It's by no means supposed to take over the park. It's got to fit in, but it is, we hope, going to be one of those features that really draws people from all over and creates this meeting point for everyone. One other thing, actually, that I should mention. While we've chosen this area of the park, there is a project currently underway. It's sort of a little bit on hold, but it is still underway, to take this piece of the park circulation away from vehicular traffic. It's in the circulation plan, which is also on the website for you to read. It's basically the segment from the MLK statue just over here to back here by the Bible House, which is that lovely Victorian structure. And the goal is to turn that into a pedestrian promenade that has bicycle thoroughfare, pedestrian strolling, but it doesn't necessarily have to be completely linear. And if there's anything that, you know, speaks to you about that, I'd be okay with including something near or on that road. Because it is, you know, we've decided to take it out of the vehicular circulation because we want it to connect these two meadows a little bit better. Yeah, so I think that's all I have to say. And if you have any questions, now would be a good time. I'll keep this in case I have to point. Yes?
Is the format 24 portrait or landscape?
I think we'll leave that up to you. The format of the submittals, 24 by 36, can go either way.
Talk about the budget, where you see that moving.
Okay, so currently we have budget to fund the design of this project. We do not have budget for construction. So we will be doing something that we as a department haven't done before, but we feel very confident about. We'll be raising all of the construction funds through grants and private donations, and we're looking at a budget from, at a minimum, we think $3 million, at a maximum $5 million. So the goal would be to create a design that can be, if it has to be phased in 2 phases, but with a very substantial $3 million first phase. The contract, I don't know if you've looked through the sample contract, it's written kind of as a 2-phase contract. So the first phase is through design development with a really good cost estimate. Then there's going to be a break for us to complete fundraising, and then there may be some value engineering if it's necessary to get to construction documents for that first phase construction. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Will you be publishing the evaluation committee members?
They should be on the website. There should be a link to the jury members. They're basically, we started about a year ago, we started to pull together a steering committee. So the jury will be mostly the members of the steering committee. So there's someone from the Colorado Health Foundation. They gave us a grant for the part of the design. There's someone from the Museum of Nature and Science. There's the council member of the district here that the playground falls into. We have someone from UCD, from the Landscape Architecture School. We have a person who used to be the facilities director for DPS, so he's technically very, very good. Who else do we have? The manager of Parks and Recreation, obviously. Who am I forgetting? Oh, the Park People, which is a nonprofit that works with Denver Parks and Recreation. Paige from that group is on it. We have a public arts administrator on the committee, and I think that's about it. There should be 8, if I'm not wrong. But it should be on the website. If it's not, then I'll put it up. But I'm pretty sure I put that on there. Yeah?
I was wondering about the relationship to the zoo. Do we anticipate that edge will stay as is, or is there any discussion?
The edge for the zoo is pretty firm because they just completed this portion. There used to be an entrance over here. They've closed it so that they can have a single entry point, which is unfortunately off 23rd on the north side of the zoo and of the park. But yeah, that's where they are. I don't think that's changing anytime soon. That's it. Yes, Karen.
The schedule for the interviews is slated for the week of the 4th of July. Is that still anticipated to remain the same?
It would be nice if we could, but obviously we'll try to work with the finalists to make sure. Our goal is to have one public presentation where all 3 present. So there'll be some negotiating. We wanted to put something there so that we had something to work towards. And we've worked on this project for over a year now, so we feel like we need to kind of get a move on, and that's why we tried to keep this design competition kind of tight, which I hope it's okay with everyone. Yeah.
Britta, do you envision that after the finalists are selected, there will be changes made to those plans, or will they just go right on through at that point?
The way we see it, they're design ideas, and the idea is more important right now than the details, so there'll definitely be adjustments. We also still want to make sure that with whoever we contract with, that we give the neighbors and the public an opportunity to get more in detail conversations about elements and whatever we might have to talk about. So I foresee some changes, but the idea is really what we're interested in. That should not change. So, but speaking about ideas, we are looking for great ideas, but we do want to build this. So we want to make sure that whatever the ideas are, that it is buildable within that $3 to $5 million budget, which I think is very generous. But you know, we don't we're not looking for such crazy ideas that yes, they really push forward the thinking about play, but it's not buildable. We're looking for both. You know, we want it all. That's why we're doing this. Yes.
Are there any specific activities or events that take place in the meadow now that have specific space requirements, or
we do have a permitted picnic site, which is these tables that you see over to the north here, and then we do have a running trail, the 50 to 80 mile high loop, which is a relatively new park amenity, very popular, that kind of cuts through the southern half of the meadow. Those elements must stay.
I guess I was thinking more of seasonal or temporary things like farmers market or arts fair or something like that.
We don't have anything programmed like that on this particular meadow. We have some events that take advantage of that diagonal. We have some events that take advantage of the entire park. None that can't get moved. And if you're interested in finding out what events we host in the park, we can make that available to you. I can put that on the website. Question? No?
You talked about the playground becoming busy now. And what about in the winter? What are your expectations?
You know, Denver has a climate that really allows for all year round activity. Yeah, there's some days when there are 3 feet of snow on the ground, but even that's exciting because then you can go out and build snow forts, and people come out and snowshoe and cross country ski, and Denver's a very active place, so I would definitely envision something that would be available year round. Some features may not be. If there's a water feature, for example, you know, we have an interactive water fountain for kids to play in on the other side of the park. That gets shut down. That's only Memorial Day to Labor Day, roughly. But kids play, adults come out, people recreate all year long, so definitely, yeah. Anything else? Should we go, yeah?
Will neighborhood representatives or individuals that helped build the play area be on the selection?
I'm sorry, I can't.
Will neighborhood representatives be on the selection jury panel?
We have, the way we've settled it is that really the council person is sort of the immediate neighborhood representative for the immediate selection. Now we do have several people from the neighborhoods who've expressed interest in participating, and as we move forward, we'll find we'll be sure to use their input and their ability to connect with their neighbors, and we have so there'll be definitely neighborhood representation later. That it? Well, okay. If you want to, we can do a casual loop around. If that sounds good. One thing I forgot to mention that is important, the park has a lot of mature trees in it, especially this meadow. So we want to make sure that we respect the trees. We can incorporate them into any design ideas, absolutely, but the odds that Some of the trees, if planted again, would get this big, are pretty slim. So we know we're going to get into trouble if we start constructing things within the drip lines. So that's something we definitely want to respect. Trees are important in Denver because, you know, they don't naturally grow. And City Park has an arboretum. I don't know how many looked at the arboretum plan on the website, but that is important to us in City Park. So if we can include, you know, new trees that have a value, that's a fantastic thing. We think that this area offers enough sort of trees, no trees, open space, you know, that there should be areas where we can have both. We can have a fabulous play space, but also have some shady spots around it. That was kind of something I wanted to be sure to point out. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Are there any really?
I looked at the arboretum plan. They're always, you know, coming out of winter, there's always kind of a look around that our forestry division does to see which trees might not be viable any longer. I think they've done it, and I think we're okay for this year. I think as we go further along, if there's a really good reason why a tree should come out, or, you know, if you're looking at a particular thing that includes a tree in the design, I would be really cautious because things with trees can change very quickly. One good snowstorm could take out a really beautiful tree, and if that's the centerpiece of your design, then it'll be a long time before there'll be a tree in its place that'll look like much. It smells funny here. We don't have to keep walking. If you want to ask questions, we can do that. But
Is there a survey available? I don't know.
is there a survey?
That would show the
With the
tree locations, grading.
We have a general park survey that is a few years old. I don't think that would add. We considered putting it out as a resource, but it might not be accurate enough, so no. We'll ask whoever we contract with to do a survey, but at this point we don't have a current accurate survey of this entire area. So you'll have to work off the aerial. And, you know, hopefully, if there's a question about a particular tree or something, I can help out. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about what you're precisely, well, not precisely, what you're really looking for on these boards? I mean, are we talking like solutions or ideas, I guess, because I see them as very different.
Solutions or ideas. I'm not sure. What we're looking for is to have someone look at this area and this playground and all of the resources we've provided and all the objectives that we've given and interpret them in a way that reimagines play for this particular park. So whatever shape or form that takes, our goal is to build $3 or $5 million worth of improvements that allow the neighbors, Denver residents, visitors to have a fabulous play experience in this general location. That's what we're looking for.
Would that be based on these boards that you're
yes.
thinking that is the design process?
Yes, ideally. I mean, we're not just looking for, are you capable of coming up with something? We're looking for, do you have an idea, and can you, you know, that we can do here that we all want to move forward with?
So are you talking more like just conceptually or quantity of elements, or, you know, because you seem like, you know, that you guys, and I'm sure you want everything, right? You want everything. There's nothing wrong with that. But are we talking quantity of elements and how it interacts with each other, or just simple concepts? I mean, how is it going to be judged? You know,
well, we're looking for, is there a vision, is there a design idea for what reimagined play at City Park would look like? So we're not looking for, here's 15 things you could do. I don't think that's what we're looking for, because we could probably do that ourselves. I mean, we want to be really excited about this new thing that we're doing. We've seen some things in other places that we're really excited about. We don't think there's any reason why we couldn't have a space or an experience that's, you know, flexible, multicultural, multi-generational, really fun, very active. Why we couldn't have all of that here. And we're looking for help to build it.
What you're looking at?
0
all the
to
way
150.
From 2 to, gotcha. Why do you think this project happens now versus 5 years ago?
Oh, well. For starters, this structure that is here now has been here since 1996 and it's wood, so it's falling apart. So we know we need to renovate it and we need to invest a lot of money because it's such a popular space. And rather than invest a lot of money and recreate what we already have, we're thinking, why not invest a little more money and get something that we haven't had before? We completed the Playground Master Plan a few years ago, which does sort of form the basis for rethinking what play means. You know, it's not slide here, swing here. It goes a little beyond that. And we also don't want to limit, you know, you can only come here if you have a kid that's, you know, in the right age category. And you can't come if you don't have a kid because then you're sort of suspect. Or, you know, we're at that point where a lot of people are using our parks for a lot of different reasons, and we want to encourage positive community use of our spaces.
It's not like one person came forward and said, I want to donate.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, I don't know if that happens. You know?
It does happen. It has not happened here, but we are talking to a lot of different people about donations. So we do think we have a really good opportunity to come up with the funding. It's not like an exercise in futility where we think, oh yeah, that would be nice, but we're never going to build it. We really do think we're going to be building this in the next couple of years.
Do you have any existing CAD files, like surveys or anything like that? No.
Unfortunately, I have the manual from when this was built, which is a booklet this thick that, you know, describes every piece and how it fits, but that's not helpful. So no, unfortunately we don't.
In your master plan, you talk about how, or maybe the RFQ, playgrounds usually last about 10 to 15 years. Do you envision this playground to kind of expand beyond that, or is that kind of the picture you have in mind?
I think what we've talked about it lasting 10 to 15 years is sort of for more of the traditional structures because the structures wear out. What we're looking for here is a space and an experience that's flexible enough to surpass that expiration date. It can reinvent itself perhaps. If there are some elements that will need replacing, that's part of the fundraising effort, is to create a budget for that, for regular capital replacement costs. So the goal is to make sure that this stays with us. It can change, but we want it to be a space and an experience that can last. Yeah.
Will there be other amenities like restrooms or any kind of amenities that are, because this is going to be a destination, a lot of people.
Right.
Do you see?
It is a destination already, so it's not like we're completely recreating that. We do have a restroom just a little bit up north of here, and then there is a restroom in the pavilion building, which is that 2-tower structure that's covered by trees right now, but it's right there. And then we do add portalettes during the summer. That's kind of what we as a... So we're not looking to build restrooms as part of this project, I don't think.
I'm going to ask about security and hours of use. Mm-hmm. What's Park's goal in terms of being able to close off the site at times or at times during the night or other?
We don't close. We have a curfew, so between 5 a.m. and 11 p.m. the parks are open. They're theoretically closed, but there are no gates, there are no fences. So whatever, that's a good question, very realistic. Whatever gets built in any park has to withstand use, and some of that use may be not sanctioned. It's the reality of it. We can have use up until 11 p.m. I think that's perfectly acceptable. We have other areas like the tennis courts. They are lit so that they get used really till fairly late at night. We also do have some people who are homeless who live in the park more or less, or come through the park. You know, so there will be, in the end, when we get to the nitpicky stuff of is it safe, is it whatever, durable, yeah, we don't want to create homes for the homeless. We don't want to create spaces that can be, you know, insecure or unsecured and get vandalized but.
So that one would include lighting also?
I'm sorry?
Lighting also?
If it suits your, if it's a part of your design idea, your vision for Reimagine Play, it might be.
What is the curfew now? Is it just till dark, or is it to a certain hour?
The park is open 5 a.m. to 11 p.m., so it has to
you
fit
could come
within.
Out at night and be legally here playing on playground.
Till 11, absolutely, yeah. And you know, we don't have anyone patrolling really. I mean, the cops come through and make sure that nothing bad happens, but I don't think that should be a deterrent.
Do you have any social programs that feed the homeless or providing services like that within the park?
No.
Yeah, those are perimeter excluded from.
Yeah, there are other agencies and other entities that take care of that. More, well, I don't know. There's some churches, I'm sure, around here, and then there's some homeless places further downtown, but nothing in the park.
You talked about the interaction with East High School and the shared use. Are there other entities that you have a goal of bringing and adding shared use with?
I think it would be nice to have. Right now, what we have is a very static playground. You can come and you can play on it, but to have programs, to have interaction, that's something we would definitely. I think we would like that if it was well conceived, and we know there are child care groups that come here. You know, we know there are retirement homes that bring people here. Disabled people are brought here in vans to see the park. So we want to make sure that as much as we can, that we have an all-inclusive park. And
you said that the picnic tables are permitted. Is there a fee to use those?
Yeah.
Or is it paid for?
Yeah. If you permit them for an event, then you pay a small fee. It's a very nominal fee right now.
So you're not looking at any revenue with the changes that we're making.
Revenue is always nice, but we're not doing this project to increase our revenue. And we've never permitted a playground, so.
Okay. Or just any other uses you all do in the park that are revenue.
Yeah, we have, at the South Meadow, we permit for athletic use, and there's a fee associated with that. And when races come through, there's a fee. So anytime you reserve a specific place for a specific activity, there's a fee. But this isn't a revenue. Yeah. It'd be nice, but no, it's not required. You had a question too.
Well, I was wondering about the 5280 trail. You said it stays. Is it reflecting the 5280 contour, or is it reflecting 5280 feet, and could it move?
So the trail is exactly 5K in length, and that was important when it was conceived that people could actually, people who want to practice or train for races, that they could log their times. Parts of it further east, and then around the Thatcher Fountain, which is right at the Esplanade where you come in, that's at 5280 at the contour. The rest of it is, the goal of the trail was to hit as many park features as possible as you're running, so you get a full experience of the park. So yeah, it could move a little bit. I'm not saying, move all over the place, but you have to make sure that overall you could maintain the 5K distance.
Thank you. I have a question about the Healthy Living Evaluation Tool.
Yeah.
Is that meant to be something that we develop to put out there for the public, or is that meant to be used, I guess, internally?
So the Colorado Health Foundation gives grants based on how a project that they give money towards improves the overall health of your community. And of course, they like to be able to measure how, with the use of the funding, you've been able to show that, we had 500 kids here and now we have 10,000 people. And they do more than swing and slide. So it is a tool that we're hoping to develop with the selected team throughout the project so that we can show we are increasing the overall health of our park users. And that can be in very specific ways or just in a broad general way. Their website is fairly informative on what all they consider health. So it can go from, community gardens to walking to well, we can continue the loop around maybe. Oh.
I was just wondering if this project has to incorporate water quality or detention on site. I mean, I think that the facilities that are in the park are not adequate for additional development. So do you know about that?
I would say that falls into the category of if the idea is great, we'll work through the details of making that happen. Yes, there'll be a, with the final group that we contract with, there will be a review process that will touch on stormwater and water quality and all that. Really, in a park, we have a lot of options of what we can do, more so than if you're in a very limited private development. So I wouldn't worry about that. If it's a key part of a design, that's great, but it's not something that we're gonna pick a design idea apart over at this stage. Okay, well, let's loop around some more. If you have any more questions, stop me. Otherwise, one of the things we struggle with is that irrigation is becoming more expensive, and it's not all that sustainable really when you think about it. So sustainability is on the list of criteria, and I didn't want to completely forget about it because it's important that whatever we build is sustainable in many ways. And so the natural resources sustainability is a key component of that. Maintenance and financial sustainability and all that are parts of it too, but that just kind of came up. So yeah.
But what about things like this part of the art? Does that need to stay right where it is?
Yes. So the art is arranged on an axis, east, west, and north, south, these two outliers of the art. So that is where it is. We're not going to move that. If it could be incorporated in something, that'd be great. I'm sure the artist would be happy to work with anybody. So if you have further questions, let me know. I'll put you in touch with the artist. Okay.
Is there a 1% art? Is there a percentage for art?
Good question. Yes, there is. So the city does every project that's over $500,000 in construction cost, and that is an amenity, which this will be. There is a 1% for the arts. So that means 1% of the anticipated construction cost has to go to a public art piece, program, something public art. And usually the way we do it is we set that money aside, and then our public art administration goes through a selection process for that art. Since we're doing a playground and playable art, play and art can be very related, there can be a way to include that. In fact, we're hoping that could be part of it. Because it's almost always easier if the two go together rather than you build a project and then you put some art there. These picnic tables here, just as a heads up, they're here for everyone's use and they're very popular. They're not part of the picnic site, so they're not permitted, but we found that it's very nice to incorporate gathering spaces, seating spaces, those kinds of things. So I'm sure there is an expectation that somehow the project achieves that. And then also the question came up about parking. I've included the circulation master plan on the website to kind of illustrate what the situation with circulation and parking is in this park, or what we foresee it will be. And that should really take care of parking. I don't think there's going to be a need to develop parking lots. I really can't see us building any parking lots, so don't worry about adding parking. We know that we don't have enough parking in the park for a perfect current American scenario, but we do think that whatever we do here will be so popular that people will find ways to come and visit, and hopefully they'll be encouraged to do so without their cars. So whatever you can do in that direction, fabulous. Yeah.
To clarify about the picnic tables, I know you're encouraging that they be incorporated, but they don't have to stay exactly where they are.
Oh, and we don't want those either.
Okay.
Those are ready to go to the place where old picnic tables go. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, if there are no other questions right now, then I would like to say thank you all for coming. I really appreciate the participation, and I'm really excited, and I'm very hopeful that we'll come up with some great ideas and that we'll get to work with a couple of you in the future. Again, if you do have questions, you all know my emails by now. Either one is fine, but I mean, the easiest is to send it to reimagineplay at denvergov.org, because that's really where it's supposed to go. I will post all the questions and answers, and ask me many questions. I really want this to be as good of a process as it can be. So thank you all for coming and participating.